Imagine the sun is dropping fast, the shadows are growing longer, and you realize you're not making it out before dark. You have no tent, no tarp, no sleeping bag, nothing but your instincts, your will, and the forest around you. Spending a night in the wild without shelter isn't just uncomfortable, it can be dangerous. But there are ways to endure it and make it to morning. This isn't about gear or gadgets. This is about survival, about reading the land, using natural resources, and keeping your body warm and safe through the cold, the insects, the fear. Tonight, it's you and the forest, and if you stay calm, think clearly, and work smart, you will make it through. Let's talk about how. When night begins to fall and there's no shelter in sight, choosing the right location becomes your first and most critical survival decision. The ground you sleep on, the wind you're exposed to, and the natural elements around you will either work with you or against you. Start by avoiding the most common mistake. Don't settle in low ground. Valleys or depressions may seem sheltered, but they often collect cold air and moisture overnight. Flash flooding is also a risk in these spots if it rains. Instead, find slightly elevated terrain, but not the top of a hill where wind exposure is greatest. Look for natural cover, thick trees, fallen logs, rock overhangs, or densely packed bushes that can act as a wind block or partial roof. Trees with large, low-hanging branches can also provide some protection from rain and falling debris. Check the ground for dryness and softness. If the soil is damp, it will pull heat away from your body all night. Dry leaves or pine needles scattered thickly can help keep you above the cold earth. Make sure you're not directly beneath any dead branches, which may fall in strong wind. Also, scan for signs of animal activity, flattened grass, droppings, or tracks. You don't want to accidentally sleep in the middle of a wildlife path. Time is short, so don't overthink. Find a location that feels safe, dry, and somewhat protected, and commit. Once the sun drops, it's much harder to make clear choices. Survival is about using what's available, not waiting for the perfect option. Even without a tarp or tent, the right spot can help conserve warmth, reduce exposure, and give you the small psychological edge needed to push through the night. When you've got no roof, the land itself becomes your shelter. Choose wisely. The ground can be your greatest enemy on a cold, shelterless night. Even if the air feels manageable, lying directly on the earth will drain your body heat rapidly. That's why insulating yourself from the ground is absolutely essential. Cold soil acts like a sponge, pulling warmth away from your body through conduction. Without something between you and the ground, hypothermia becomes a real risk even in mild conditions. The good news, nature provides insulation. You just have to gather enough of it. Start by creating a thick layer of soft, dry materials. Look for dead leaves, pine needles, moss, grass, or dry ferns. Avoid anything damp or moldy, as moisture will worsen the problem. You'll need a lot, far more than you think. Aim for a bedding layer at least 4 to 6 inches thick. It may take time to gather, but every handful adds insulation and comfort. Use your hands, your knife, or even a stick to rake materials into a pile. Then, spread it into a flat sleeping pad and lay on top. If you can, stack even more loose material around your body once you're lying down. Create a cocoon to trap your body heat. Position logs or branches on the windward side to keep the bedding in place and to block gusts from stripping away your warmth. If you've built a fire nearby, use the insulation to keep heat in rather than letting it escape into the soil. Don't underestimate how fast the ground can rob you of energy. Staying warm isn't just about fire or clothing, it starts beneath you. Building a bed of leaves may seem simple, but in a shelterless night, it's a life-saving strategy. The ground will always be cold. Your job is to keep your body from touching it. With no tent or tarp to shield you, the forest's wind and rain become your biggest threats. Even a light breeze can chill your body quickly, especially when you're tired and your core temperature begins to drop. That's why creating natural barriers using the environment around you is one of the smartest survival moves you can make. You don't need perfect construction, just smart placement and quick thinking. Start by identifying the direction of the wind. You can feel it on your face, watch the way smoke moves if you've got a fire, or observe the sway of branches and grass. Once you know where it's coming from, gather large branches, logs, and brush to form a basic wall on the windward side. Angle the wall so it deflects the breeze rather than letting it funnel through your space. Dense evergreen boughs work especially well for blocking wind and adding insulation. If you suspect rain overnight, it becomes even more important to create a partial roof. Look for leaning trees, thick foliage, or rock overhangs. Use large leaves, slabs of bark, or even layers of pine branches to create a sloped surface that directs water away from your sleeping area. Lay these at an angle so rain slides off instead of pooling. Always avoid sleeping directly under water-heavy tree limbs that could drip steadily through the night or snap under pressure. The goal isn't comfort, it's survival. These makeshift walls and covers won't be beautiful, but they'll break the wind, keep off rain, and help trap body heat near your bedding. When the forest turns cold and wet, your best defense is what you can build with your hands and the earth. Fire becomes your lifeline when there's no shelter to shield you from the forest's cold and darkness. It's not just about warmth, it's about survival. Fire provides heat, protection, psychological comfort, and even a means to dry wet clothes or boil water if needed. Without it, your body will struggle to maintain its core temperature, especially during a long, damp night. Building a fire in the open takes planning and precision, but with the right steps, it's absolutely possible, even without fancy tools. Start by gathering 3 types of fuel: tinder, kindling, and larger firewood. Tinder is your ignition material: dry leaves, shredded bark, or feather sticks carved with a knife. Kindling includes small twigs and sticks no thicker than your finger. Then comes the main fuel: dry branches and logs that will burn long and steady. If it's been raining, search under logs, inside hollow trees, or near thick tree trunks for dry materials. Even dead wood elevated off the ground is often dry inside. Clear a patch of earth down to the soil and use rocks or green logs to form a fire ring if available. Build a teepee or log cabin fire lay, starting small and expanding outward as it catches. Once lit, keep feeding the fire gradually to avoid smothering it. Position your body close enough to absorb heat, but always sleep on the opposite side of your bedding to avoid embers or sparks reaching you. If possible, build a reflector wall behind the fire using logs or stones to bounce heat back toward your sleeping area. Fire also deters predators and keeps insects at bay, giving you both physical and mental security. On a shelterless night, fire doesn't just provide warmth, it gives you control, confidence, and a critical edge against the elements. Spending a night in the forest without any shelter is not only a physical test, but a deeply mental one. The darkness, the sounds, the stillness, these elements can quickly become overwhelming if you're not mentally prepared. Fear, panic, and loneliness creep in fast when you're isolated and exposed. That's why maintaining a calm, focused mindset is as essential as finding firewood or staying dry. Survival is as much about mental strength as it is about skills. The forest at night is alive with movement. Branches snap in the distance, owls call, and leaves rustle unexpectedly. Without context, your brain might interpret every sound as a threat. But it's important to remember, the forest isn't targeting you. Most animals are avoiding you. Understanding this helps ease fear. Focus on facts, not feelings. Structure helps too. Create mental tasks to give your mind something to anchor to. Check your fire every 30 minutes. Adjust your bedding. Prepare materials for the morning. These small actions give your brain purpose, keeping panic at bay. Repeating simple affirmations or breathing in a steady rhythm can also calm your nerves. Remind yourself you're here to learn, to grow, and to survive. Fatigue makes fear worse. If sleep is hard to find, rest in short intervals. Close your eyes and breathe deeply even if you can't fully sleep. Staying alert and positive keeps you safer than letting exhaustion or fear take over. Isolation is powerful, but so is focus. A clear mind helps you make smart decisions, notice danger early, and adapt quickly. Whether it's cold wind, strange noises, or the sheer discomfort of lying on the forest floor, you must train your mind to stay steady. The body follows where the mind leads, and out here, staying mentally sharp is your most powerful tool. Surviving a night in the forest without shelter often comes down to avoiding small mistakes that turn into big problems. Nature is unforgiving, and even one wrong move can make a cold, uncomfortable night turn dangerous fast. That's why understanding what not to do is as important as knowing what to do. The key to survival is staying aware, being intentional, and learning from common errors that many beginners make. One of the biggest mistakes is choosing the wrong location. Sleeping too close to water might seem peaceful, but it invites trouble. Cold air settles there, insects swarm in, and flash floods are a risk if rain hits. Picking low ground can trap you in cold, wet air, while high ridges expose you to harsh winds. You have to find that balanced terrain with natural cover and dryness. Another major error is neglecting ground insulation. Lying directly on the cold earth drains your body heat rapidly. Even with a fire nearby, if your core temperature drops too low through ground contact, you'll suffer through the night. Always build up a thick bedding layer, even if it means spending extra time collecting leaves, grass, or pine needles. Wearing wet clothes or allowing moisture to build up is another trap. Damp clothing becomes a heat sink, pulling warmth away from your skin. Even sweat can chill you once the temperature drops. Remove wet layers, dry them near the fire, or rotate clothes if possible. Finally, don't over-rely on fire without managing it properly. If it goes out at 2 a.m. and you're unprepared, you could wake up shivering. Always stack backup firewood nearby and keep it dry under logs or rocks. Avoiding these mistakes keeps your survival efforts working in your favor. In the wild, preparation isn't always about gear. It's about thinking ahead and staying sharp.